Hello and welcome back to our AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Certification Bootcamp. Amazon S3 is a super important service and a must-known topic for any AWS user. AWS loves to test different S3 concepts during the certification exam. To help you understand the S3 concepts optimally without getting overwhelmed, we have made a bunch of smaller videos covering everything about S3 beyond the basics. In this module, we'll start with Amazon S3 basic concepts, S3 bucket, then we'll cover the S3 fundamental aspects starting from reviewing S3 bucket naming convention, S3 objects, S3 object prefix, Amazon S3 object metadata. Then we'll move to AWS Management Console to review the S3 bucket and object creation process. And before completing the video, we'll review Amazon S3 use cases. On behalf of the Cloud Expert Solutions team, I would like to thank you for joining us and exploring this video. Let's get started. Amazon S3 is an object storage service. This is a key terminology. It's not a file system for your operating systems, or you cannot attach Amazon S3 as a disk to your EC2 instance. It is designed for storing unstructured data as objects. S3 is also known for its extreme durability. The 11 nines of durability means that if you have stored 10 million objects, you can expect to lose only one object over a period of 10,000 years. You can understand the durability from this number. It is also infinitely scalable and comes with virtually unlimited storage capability, and you never have to worry about running out of space. Amazon S3 is very cost effective. It offers pay for what you use model with no upfront cost. Before we can store anything in S3, you must create a bucket. And think of bucket as a logical container for your files. A bucket name is globally unique, meaning no one else in the world can use the same bucket name as you. You also choose a region for your bucket because S3 is a regional service, which is where the object will be physically stored. Now let's review the S3 naming conventions. The bucket name must be unique, we discussed, and it should be between 3 to 63 characters long. And you need to use only lowercase letters, numbers, periods, and hyphens. You should avoid using underscores, space, and other special characters. Any bucket name must begin and end with a lowercase letter or a number, but it cannot have consecutive periods or hyphens, nor they can be formatted as an IP address. Now inside the bucket, your data is stored as object. An object is the file itself plus its metadata. And each object has an unique identifier. It's called key. And here is an example of an S3 object key when you store anything inside S3. It has mainly three components. The first part in green, it is bucket name, which is globally unique. Then the prefix, and finally the object or the file name. That's why every object key is unique in Amazon S3. Now let's understand the prefix in more depth, and here are some quick tips. When you find anything between the bucket name and the object name, including the backslash, it is prefix. Here is another one S3 key example. For this key, the prefix is log/2025/October and then slash. Here is one more. Now you can pause the video here and determine the S3 prefix for this example. Once you are done, you can unpause the video and review with us. If you have already figured it out, then the prefix is image/profile/, and prefixes act as logical folders or directories to group related objects, and this allows for easier organization and retrieval of data. Although the S3 UI will trick you and will force you to think of a folder structure, but please remember, S3 does not have a physical directory or a folder structure available. There is no limit to the number of objects you can store in an S3 bucket, but a single object cannot exceed 5 terabytes in size. And if you are uploading more than 5 GB of data, then you must use S3 multi-part upload capability. There is also a concept called metadata. S3 object metadata is a key value pair. The metadata provides the details about the object itself rather than being part of the object's content. There are two types of metadatas. One is system-defined metadata, which are automatically managed and populated by Amazon S3, like object size, storage class, creation time, or last modified date. And the other type is user-defined metadata, which will allow you to add your own key value pairs. Using this user-defined metadata, you can provide application-specific information to your S3 objects. Now let's go back to AWS Management Console and let's review S3 in action. I have logged into AWS Management Console. From Service Search option, I'll type S3. S3 appears at the top. I'll click S3. I have navigated to S3 dashboard. Currently, I have two S3 buckets for my different purposes. Now let's create our first S3 bucket. I'll use create bucket. In terms of bucket type, either you can use general purpose or directory. I will use general purpose bucket. As bucket name, I have used Cloud Expert Solutions S3 demo. You have to choose a different name because S3 bucket name is globally unique and you won't be able to use the same name. AWS recommends you to block all public access. That means to make that bucket as private. If you uncheck this one, then this bucket will be public. AWS is providing you a warning that turning off block all public access might result in this bucket and the objects within this become public. And if you want to make that bucket as public, then you have to acknowledge this. If you are going to use this bucket for any production workload, I'll recommend you to use block all public access. I do not want to enable any version. Tagging is optional. Encryption, by default, it is server-side encryption or SAA-C03. We have dedicated session on the encryption. Currently, the bucket key, let's make it as enable. Let's review the advanced settings. Object lock, I'm making as disable. We have discussed object lock in a separate video and let's create the bucket. Here you go. This is the new bucket that we have created, Cloud Expert Solutions S3 demo. Currently it is in USTist 1A. If you want to create the bucket in a different region, from the region drop down, you can choose a different region. Maybe I'll choose US West 1. You can see I still have all the buckets that is available. However, the bucket is physically located in USTist 1. And please remember, S3 is a regional service. It's not a global service. Now let's go back to our base region, which is USTist 1 Northern Virginia. And we'll try to upload some objects in this new bucket. I'll click on the bucket hyperlink. Currently, I have no objects because I have only created this bucket. Now let's upload our first object. Either you can add a file or you can add folders, and inside that folders you can have multiple files. I will add files. Here I have created a demo file. I'll select that file. You can choose whatever the file type you want and then upload. So our first object has been uploaded to our S3 bucket. Now let's close this pop-up. Here is our object. We can select that object. Either you can download that object or you can go and you can copy that object, you can move that object, you can calculate the total size, you can share with a pre-signed URL, you can rename the object, also you can edit the object class. Currently, the storage class is standard. We have a dedicated slide to discuss S3 object class. Now let's go back to our PPT and let's continue there. For the Solution Architect exam, you need to recognize the common use cases for Amazon S3. That is why let's discuss the use cases first. You can host a cost-effective static website directly from Amazon S3 bucket. You do not need to maintain or manage any server. And this is an exam favorite. If you have static websites with HTML, CSS or JavaScript file, you can host them directly from an Amazon S3 bucket. If you have an existing website, you can also separate the static and the dynamic content of your web application, and you can place all the static assets like high resolution images, video files in an Amazon S3, and you can serve from there. S3 is also ideal for backup and archiving, and it provides you a highly durable and secure destination for your data. You can archive application logs and application database backups into a low-priced S3 storage tier. The other use case is data lake. Many big data architectures, they are using S3 as the foundation for data lake, and they are storing massive amounts of data for analytics. The other use case could be disaster recovery. For disaster recovery, you can replicate the data, or you can use cross-region replication to automatically copy your data to a bucket in another one AWS region. And finally, if you have users, they are distributed globally, you can serve content faster to users worldwide, and you can integrate Amazon CloudFront with this, which is a CDN or content delivery network. Using S3 and the CloudFront, you can distribute content even faster with low latency to a globally distributed users. That wraps up this module. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more AWS exam preparation courses and cloud certification bootcamps. Got questions or feedback? Drop them in the comment. We love to hear from you. Thanks for learning with us at Cloud Expert Solutions. You are now one step closer to crushing your exam. See you in the next module.